Welcome to Sexual Frequency, a non judgmental place where we can play, explore, and vibe into the new paradigm of intimacy and sexuality together. I'm your host, Goddess Lore, and tonight we are celebrating because it's our motherfucking birthday! Yes!
Happy birthday.
Sexual Frequency, our baby, turns 1 year old. Actually, it would be tomorrow of 2021 was when we had our debut show. So happy fucking birthday, Rick Rock with the hard cock.
Yeah, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to our
to you.
listeners out there. Hey,
Yes.
everybody. Welcome.
We celebrate you, the listener, for, tuning in, tapping in, sharing us with your friends. We appreciate you. We're going to pop this bubbly in a second. Ricky, are you all birthdayed out? Because we know that your family had a million birthdays and it was Father's Day.
Father's Day, and we still got birthdays. Tomorrow's my mama's birthday.
Dang.
So we got birthdays every week for
Birthdays
the next
on birthdays on
couple
birthdays.
weeks. Yeah.
Woof.
But we're never tired of birthdays.
I mean,
You know,
no.
It's always, you gotta have a reason to celebrate, right?
That's gotta be hard though, because you gotta buy birthday gifts for everybody all at once.
Well,
Or you just do like a
Take them all to dinner.
give a hug.
Yeah. Just give them a hug and a kiss.
Yeah, because you take them out to dinner. Who pays? Mom can't pay because it's her birthday. It was Dad's birthday.
It'll be a fraction off. Everybody
Well,
still pays. but-
Everybody pays their own.
Everybody pitches in and we make food. We make mom will cook.
good
And
discount.
you know that voice. You know him. You love him. He is a friend of the show. He is a lifelong friend of Rick Rock's and mine. And we are excited to have you on tonight, Mr. Antwan Moreanal.
That's right. Moreno.
More anal always. Welcome back.
Or oral.
Yeah,
That
oral
just
too.
doesn't
Yeah,
come
all
off
of
the
it.
tongue as easily as Moreno.
Listen, you know how I feel about anal. It's a portal to world peace. Come on, guys. We got to get on that train. How have you been since the last time you were on the show? It's been a minute.
I've been well. I was trying to think when exactly I was on the show. I think it might have been
August.
right,
You were
yes.
part of our Anal August series. Yes.
So it's been almost 9 months. Actually, almost a year.
Wow. Yeah.
What month are we in? We're in June.
Yeah, because the first time you were on was for Rick's birthday, which is right around the corner. I know, Cancer. We're in Cancer season.
I'm about to cry now.
Ricky spoken like a true Cancer. Okay, let's pop this while Ricky lets us know what we have going on in the chat.
Yes.
Poppin' bubbly.
So we have Jerry De La Rosa saying hello. Antwan Moreno, the High Priestess is in there.
Woo woo.
Who else is up in here?
Oh, wait, I
High
wanna
Priestess
close
is
the
saying hola. Damn, sexual frequency is a Cancer too. Emo sluts.
Ooh, emo slut is a person, or they're calling us
that's
emo
High
sluts?
Priestess comment. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Actually, can I have you pour? Thank you, love.
Sure. Yes, I can. You know, that actually startled me.
The pop?
Yeah,
Did-
PTSD.
Did y'all hear the pop on the mic? I didn't want to get it too close, but I wanted to get it close enough to where you're able to hear it. Wait, why PTSD?
Last night's thunder.
I was gonna say.
Oh
is
my
the
gosh,
thunder-
yes. I was gonna say, listen. Happy summer solstice, which was on Tuesday? Tuesday.
Yeah, 21st.
Summer is here, which is why I'm repping all the sandia vibes, because watermelon is my favorite all-time treat, but in the summer it's just so much sweeter. So we're excited for the summer, but let me tell you, I think that we worshipped the sun god a little too hard, because the thunder god was like, do not forget about me, bitches.
The Tlaloc.
Right.
Yes,
Tlaloc
Tlaloc
rain,
came.
The thunder, the lightning.
And it was like at 4 a.m, guys. If you see my story, I posted a small video. Not that you would watch it that long, because I posted it as it happened. I was like, bitch, I wouldn't watch this. Like, but I did post a video like 4:30 in the morning, maybe, and you can hear the rain is like loud. It's just thumping outside. At one point, I was like, is it hailing? It was crazy. And then it was like the flashes of lightning. I cannot remember in LA the last time that we have had. What is wrong with my speech today? I haven't even had champagne yet. That we have had lightning and thunder like that, because it was like rolling.
Yeah, it was fun and creepy, but it was fun.
It woke me up.
Yeah.
I appreciate the rain. I'm very happy for the rain. But hopefully next time it'll come after 6 or 7 in the morning.
True.
Yeah,
Nobody
because
could
I
go
was
back to
up.
sleep. Yeah, no one could go back to sleep after that.
Yeah.
I was waiting for my kids to like come like to my room or to call me, because it was that like startling. But no, they slept through it. They didn't
Little
come.
jerks are knocked out.
Yeah, sleeping while I'm awake, listening and shooting fucking videos that nobody's gonna watch. It's okay. It'll be on my archive. It's all good.
Right. Well, yes, it's a little bit of PTSD, but it's also celebratory.
It is
I'm
very
happy we got that
celebratory.
rain. Happy
Celebratory.
we got,
Celebratory.
Lalo talking to us.
Yes, talking to us, and you know, if depending on what day you get to water your lawn, you didn't have to water it, because you know we are conserving here in this great state of California, because we are in a continual drought. Let's just be honest. It's we should just always be conserving.
Yes,
is what I think.
Be water wise.
Yes, always be water wise. Rick, I see something in your eyes. What's going on?
High Priestess was saying didn't seem to really hit by me, so I think she's referring to the thunder.
Oh, the thunder. Yeah.
It was tracking it on the Doppler, the Mega Doppler 7000, and it was coming up from Long Beach, basically along the 710 freeway. So Long Beach up I don't know what cities are up that way, but definitely came through Bell, Maywood, up
Incidental for sure.
So just picture the 710 freeway.
Country Park.
Yeah, and we caught some lightning on the way here to the studio today too.
Yeah, just right now. Yeah, I mean it's
still going. So I love it. Keep talking to us, baby. Talk to me. I talk back. We are filled up with some champagne here. We want to say cheers to Sexual Frequency 1 year. Let's keep it going.
Let's get it.
To many,
Let's
many
get
more.
it. To many more. Cheers, queers.
Cheers.
Cheers, mama.
Listen, shout out to Costco Prosecco. It's a very good price point. It was a great year. I'm pretty sure it's like 2022. Actually, no, it's probably been sitting in my fridge for a minute, but it's all good. Before we get into it, Rick, let the people know what time it is.
It's time for the pre-roll.
Pre-roll. I haven't had a pre-roll in a minute.
Let's do this. Okay, tonight's show is sponsored by 360 Photo Booth Expert. Whether you're looking to purchase or rent a 360 photo booth for your next event, visit 360photoboothexpert.com. With over 10 years of being in the photo booth industry, they are always going above and beyond with excellent service and help, and they also speak Spanish. So visit 360photoboothexpert.com and click on the Get in Touch tab, and don't forget to use promo code Sexual Frequency for our special discount.
Y'all heard that? We got a promo code, Sexual Frequency. Listen, summer vibes. Y'all are out there having parties. You want your party to stand out. How are you going to do that? 360 photo booth. Also, nowadays with everything going up in prices, gas, literally both types of gas, right? Like, because fucking my gas bill is like ridiculous. And the gas for your car, food prices, everything's going up. It is a perfect time to invest in a business. You could be a owner of a photo booth and rent that shit to people who are having parties. Rent it to your friends, rent it to your tias, because we know our people like to party. Let's just be honest.
Right.
We love to party.
That's right.
We're going to talk about that in a bit. I want to just apologize. My voice is really not cooperating with me today, which is why I'm not really like having too much champagne. I've been hydrating, but it's like, I even had a Halls, guys. Tell me you're old without telling me you're old. I had a Halls before the show, and it still didn't help. So my apologies. Rick, thank you
Yeah.
for that.
No problem.
We know what comes after the pre-roll. It's that special time in the show where we get to connect with our inner cochinas and cochinos, our cochinex vibes. And as you know, for season 2, we are having a friendly competition, and all of our guests that are invited on, we give them the opportunity to participate. So Mr. Moreanal has agreed to share one of his Cochina Chronicles.
Cochina Chronicles.
Cochinex, cochina, cochino.
Cochinex. And it's got a
Cochine.
special song too.
Oh, hit us with the special song.
I did have to think, what could I share that
Because
didn't
there's
give,
so many.
yeah, that didn't also give too much away,
Mm.
maintain anonymity for people, but also something scintillating.
Mm. I love that word. It's not used enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Valid. Just kidding. Don't stop.
Wow, putting me on blast.
Tantalizing, scintillating. And so I had to dig back. I had to go back quite some time.
Digging.
I have a lot of experience in the cochina world. This goes way back. I would say probably, how old am I? Almost 30 years.
Almost 30 years.
Almost
Okay,
30
that
years.
sounds accurate.
Coaching experiences. This one was in my early 20s. I would say it's been more than 15 years at this point. And I had been out with friends drinking, partying. It was time for me to go home, but I didn't quite want to stop the party. And I decided to do what most men, or I should say men who are into other men, do, is you go cruise the streets.
Yes.
You go find somebody of a like mind. And for those who don't know what cruising is, it's finding intimacy partners on the street.
Look
People
at
to get
you. I
down
love
with.
the words. Yeah. People to get down with.
Yeah, people to get down with. And so I had a couple places that I went to throughout Los Angeles, and people know these places. Some people go to the parks, but this is already maybe like 1 a.m, and I'm not going to be at a park at 1 a.m. That's just dangerous, stupid. You got to know, be smarter than that. Anyhow, I did have a couple places, one of which was, well, now that I say it, it's not that much safer. It's in Watts. It's this adult bookstore on the corner of Alameda.
Oh my God, were you glory holding? I'm so excited for this story now,
No.
even more.
So there are those individuals that go inside the bookstores. Then there are those who hang out around outside and just basically drive around in their car. And that's what I would do. I didn't want to go waste money, buy tokens, and be seen in the bright neon lights of that. What is it? Triple X? Or I can't remember the name of it. I wish I knew the name. Anyhow, so I was out there. Went a couple loops around the blocks, the back streets, industrial area. Pretty grimy. And again, now that I think about it, 1 a.m, Watts. Yeah, no, maybe it's not the smartest thing to do. So I ended up seeing this guy, pulled up next to him, said, "What's up?" He said, "Hey, what's up?" He was in his car. I said, "Follow me." At this point, I had been there enough times that I knew what to do, where to go. And so there's, again, a bunch of empty warehouses. It's late at night. And so I backed the car into like a long driveway that leads to this warehouse. And he parks his car next to mine, and he comes over, gets into mine, and we're talking, getting to know each other. That lasted
So
about
he got into your car.
2 minutes.
Okay.
Which again, this is all stupid things that
Right.
you let some perfect stranger that could totally rob you or do all this stuff. But people are really looking for sex. They're not looking for
Right.
that's other stuff. And so he gets in, and we're talking, and we don't have sex because you're in a car, and we're not 14 or 15 or 16 anymore. Nothing wrong with having sex in a car, but this was a very small, compact car, and it just wouldn't work out. There was some heavy petting involved.
Okay. You could say whatever the fuck you want on the show, right?
Yeah, no,
There's no
I'm
censorship. Okay. I know you like to use your words wisely.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Heavy petting.
Right, jacking each other off. How about that?
Yes.
Mutual
There
masturbation.
you go. That's better.
Okay.
Let's get a little bit more explicit.
There you go.
And so we finished. We're done. And we're still just talking, and we're there. And The other thing, doing this so often, you also pick up tips and tricks, again, how to meet people, what to do, what not to do, what to wear even. And so we're done, we're talking, and all of a sudden, so we're facing the street because I had backed it out into this long driveway, and this car comes in, blasts their lights at us. It's the police.
Wow.
No.
I was wearing sweats, so all I had to do was just like pull him up and
Right.
nothing. The other dude, he might have been wearing shorts. I don't remember his name. Let's call him Jose.
Okay.
Jose.
Yeah. The seats were still reclined a little bit. I'm like, oh, great. At first, I was like, okay, we're gonna die in this back alley warehouse.
Oh no!
But it was the cops, so
Okay.
we're really gonna die.
Okay,
Just
so
kidding.
did Jose have his hose still out?
No,
or
no,
was
we
it
were
away?
just kinda
You were done. You were done. You
unbuckled.
did say okay.
And so the cops come up. They ask us what we're doing. They make us get out of the car. They put us in the back seat of
You
the.
got out. They made you get out of the
Yes,
car.
they made us get out of the
Oh,
car. They
no.
put us in the back seat. And I was like, whatever, this is nothing serious. We ain't
Right.
doing nothing. We weren't caught with our pants down. We weren't caught doing anything.
Mhm.
They so I tell the dude, I was like, your name is Jose, right? He's like, don't say anything. We're being recorded, whatever. I was like, not a big deal. I was like, all right, fine.
Okay, clearly you could tell I've never been in the backseat of a cop car. I'm like, you're being recorded? Oh my god.
But he says, be quiet because I used to be an explorer with that cop.
Oh shit.
Interesting.
Bitch, he was jealous. He was like, I knew I was gonna find you here.
Right? Maybe. Who knows? Well, there's two of them actually. And so one of them is kind of standing by the cop car. The other one is in our car, the car that we were in. And I could see because the lights are still flashing
Mhm.
into our car, and we're in the back seat, so we're looking straight at our empty car, and the cop is going through stuff. And I remembered that we had wiped up and just thrown the stuff into the back seat. And I noticed that the cop that's looking through the back seat also wasn't wearing gloves or anything. He's like picking up papers. He realizes what it is, throws it down, kind of gets mad, goes to his partner, tells him something. I don't know what he told them, but they said, you guys shouldn't be back here. Car gets stolen back here. People come to dump cars. People come to dump bodies. People come
Shit.
to all kinds of stuff.
Right.
What are you guys doing here? We're like, we're just talking. Like,
We're
you
getting
guys
to know each other.
get out of
We're
here.
dumping fluids.
Right?
Dumping bodies, dumping fluids.
And don't come back.
Oh, we're dumping bodies. A lot of them. We're dumping babies.
And so then they say, get out of here. They kick us. They tell us, go, get out of here. Don't come back.
Wow.
I think had it not been for the cum rags or whatever they were, the cum napkins, they probably would have thought we were doing something worse.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, all we were doing was some heavy petty.
Just heavy
Heavy
petty.
petty.
That's it. I like that story. You know,
That's good.
it was hot. It was dangerous.
And I never talked to that dude again. I don't think I got his number or anything. You go your way, I go my way. Normally, that's the way it would have happened. This time it included cops. There wasn't anything erotic with them.
Erratic with the cops, you mean?
Erotic.
Oh, do you have a story about that? On the next episode, we're having erotic cop stories.
Well, there's another time that I got caught with some other dude. Actually, this was in Maywood. And he said, where are you from? Where's this guy from? And he said, go do your dirty shit in your city. And let us go. I was like, we're not doing anything. Again, you know what to do. You pull up your sweats, you pull everything up. They don't. Like, we're just sitting there talking. Unless they catch you with a penis in your mouth or a penis in your hand.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Like, we're just talking. That's what people do. People live in cramped, dense housing
right.
in Southeast LA.
Especially in that area.
Exactly.
They're like, I don't live in bell garbage, sir. Thank you very much.
So again, you just have to be smart about what you do. But that was a long time ago in my adventurous 20s.
Yeah, that was pretty.
That's
That
good.
was pretty adventurous. Has there ever been anybody that you hooked up with like that you did get their number, where you were just kind of like, oh, like this is good. Like, let's do it
I
again.
might have brought him around to a Christmas dinner.
Oh, say less. I know exactly who you're talking about.
The high priestess is saying, Cochina X, I'm dead, Cuculandia. Jerry says, I have video of that event. And then high priestess says, Jerry, you need to post it. Jerry says, I fucking lost the hard drive with that content. High priestess was
Thank
asking.
God.
High priestess was asking, basketball shorts? ?
Yeah, those work too.
And
Again,
then
pick them up quick. Anything that you could take off, put on quickly.
And then she put in quotes, people come to jerk each other off.
Pretty much. Heavy petting.
They knew what
Heavy
we were
petting.
doing. But
Absolutely.
again, they're out there doing their job. And
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I got one time, like we were just doing heavy petting stuff. But apparently I didn't know, or I don't know if it's like protocol, they say this shit to like scare you, but they're like, they kept like, he flashed his like light in my eyes and he wouldn't take it off, like the bright flashlight. And then he was like, ma'am, first of all, he was calling me ma'am. I was like, bitch, I am 22. Who the fuck you calling a ma'am? And he's like, are you being held against your will? And he asked me over and over because apparently we were in like a high sex trafficking like area. And I was like, oh, great spot you baked here. And yeah,
you just reminded me actually that they did come with their flashlight and their guns. Ron.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Yeah.
Guns, yeah. Why didn't you have
Well,
that?
yeah, I mean, you're in an industrial area, so they're thinking you're breaking in or something.
Lots, just on the other side of Alameda, where Firestone turns into Manchester, that part right there.
Oh, okay. I know where you're at.
So there's glory holes there too?
Probably inside.
I'm just curious.
Actually,
yeah.
I don't think that bookstore is there anymore. That one's not there, but there's one further up on Alameda.
I've been curious to like just go and just see what the vibe is, to be honest. Like, I'm just curious. I know. It's kind of
Mexican man.
Okay.
So.
Well, that completes Cochinex Chronicles. That was a good one. We love it. We always have stories that involve the police that turn out with a happy ending.
Well, that was before they got there.
2 happy endings, and you did not get arrested. We are all here for that. So let's get to the topic of the night, which is parenting in the new paradigm. And before we really get into it, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that none of us here are professionals. We don't have degrees in child psychology. We don't have, we're not therapists. We are just solely speaking based off of our personal experiences, books that we've read, articles that we've read, and, just life. Excuse me, my goodness. What is like, is my mom's like, bitch, don't be sharing any more stories about me. So I want to just make sure that you guys know that we are just basically speaking on our own experiences. Take our advice with a grain of salt. We're talking about what has worked for us. So with that out of the way, I definitely want to start with saying that there are major shifts happening in parenting lately. We are all of the same age, so I think that it's safe to say that most of us here were parented in the same way, in the sense of like when we were kids, it was like kids are to be seen and not heard. Like nobody wanted to know your opinion. You have an opinion. We don't need to know that because you are a foolish child. That's definitely a big shift that has happened, because now we actually, we respect little humans a lot more. We give them a voice, with allow them to share how they feel about certain things. And even, for the most part, even if it's just the illusion of them making a decision, we allow them to make decisions that are age appropriate, like for them. But I have to say that the way that we grew up was kind of, it's different in the way that kids are being raised now. One, because I feel like our parents didn't really spend a lot of time processing their emotions or their feelings. Their time was for survival, was for work, was to make sure that the rent was paid or the mortgage was paid, that there was food on the table, that everybody had what they needed. The basic essentials of life. They worked really hard. Let me tell you, they partied hard too. Because I feel like, man, sometimes I feel like that generation puts us to shame. Like sometimes we go out and it's like 12 o'clock and people are so boring, like going to sleep. And I was like, your parents are upset with you because when we were little, they used to shove us under the table or put two chairs together and be like, vete a dormir because we're going to dance and drink till 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. So I want to ask you guys, how do you remember your parents? I shared a little bit about kind of sort of what my experiences were. Both of my parents worked. My dad wasn't like super affectionate. You know, my mom wasn't either. The occasional hug or hugs were good. Occasional I love you. But yeah, nobody really asked your opinion until you were like much older, maybe even teenager. And then when they asked your opinion, it was really more to laugh at how foolish you were. I feel. But how do you guys remember growing up when you were really young?
Well, I think there's a lot of similarities between us in terms of siblings and numbers. There's five of you.
Yes.
Five of you. Five of us.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I'm just realizing that.
Did
Okay.
we just become best friends?
You're my best friend, triplets.
And so when you think of that, yes, our parents were working, and when they weren't working, they were parenting us, and when they weren't parenting, they were resting. And so the time to actually have those conversations was very limited. It's a small window, and it's very easy to give somebody a hug, to say I love you, to do something like that, but you know, sometimes they didn't have time for that. It sounds like a cop-out to say that they didn't have time for it, but it's draining to have that many children, especially if they're very close in age. You have a bunch of little kids running around. And so the priority isn't necessarily on our emotional needs as much as it is on our basic needs.
Right, our survival needs.
Yeah. And you're right. They worked hard. I think my parents did kind of party. Not that hard, but you know, they partied, and so they did what they could. Now, in terms of having those important conversations with us regarding sex or sexuality, that never happened. The only thing they really said was respect yourself and don't disrespect somebody else. Just be respectful. So that was a euphemism. That was coded language for don't be begging dudes in the street. Or, well, they wouldn't say that.
In the alleys, in the whatever.
I don't think that even existed in their minds, that whatever I was doing or about to do at the age of 13, 14, 15, that didn't exist to them. Yeah. They would always say respect the young women. Respect them. And okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, that was a good message, and I feel like more than a lot of Latino men get growing up. What about you, Rick?
Do you feel though that they had an idea what we were up to, like what we were doing? I mean, like with my folks, I felt like it was about survival, like you're saying. You know, so you know, my dad was always the graveyard worker, and my mom worked in the morning, so we were always there was always one in our household, but. The same thing was told to us, you know, respect, you know, who you're with, you know, don't be, you know, a jerk. But I always wondered, like, I didn't get that. Like, so I have two older brothers that are about 5 and 7 years apart. Right. So I don't know if they got any info at all, like, or any little tidbits. Maybe they did, you know, but I mean, I kind of learned from them in a bit, but at the same time, I always wondered, maybe my parents had no clue what we were up to. You know, we're kids. I mean, their focus was just work and maintaining the household, right?
So you were 5 boys and you were 5 girls.
Yeah, and that's another thing. That's a difference too.
Right.
With us, it was pretty easy.
The way they would talk, if they talked to boys, would be very different. And a lot of times the way it happens is that fathers don't talk to their kids. They just say, here's some condoms or here's some
if
this.
That, yeah.
And to the boys, not the girls.
Exactly.
No, you're keeping a pill between your legs. Unless they're your mom.
Yeah, no, not even that. Like our talk about anything sexual was don't have sex. It was your value was basically placed on your virginity. We grew up Catholic. My dad is, still to this day, very firm believer in some archaic, beliefs. And, his talk was like a bag of airtight peanuts. He said, your virginity, imagine like a bag of airtight peanuts. And then you open it and they're never sealed in the same way again. And it just, they get stale and it just doesn't taste that good.
Peanuts? Can we have?
You do.
Can we enjoy the peanuts?
You get to eat the peanuts, stale or not.
Enjoy them.
And so that was his talk, basically, was like, stay a virgin. You want to be a virgin when you get married, because that's how you're going to attract a man that is going to be good to you and, whatnot, all of these things. I always pushed back, but I feel that, that is not what stopped me from having sex. What stopped me from having sex was that my mom was just very fertile. And then my sister got pregnant in high school. And I was like, with my luck, I'm going to fuck once in a car, because you didn't have resources back then. And I'm going to get pregnant. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Like, no, thank you. I didn't really subscribe to that virginity thing like too much, but I was very prudish, and I did have the belief, because of my dad, that you couldn't keep a man if you had sex with him, like before you were committed. This is when I was younger, right? Of course, we're talking like high school age.
Teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers. So obviously, teenage relationships are not meant to last. So when it's like, oh, see, but you fucked him, you shouldn't have fucked him, because then he would still be with you. But it's like, bitch, you're 16. He's not meant to be with you till when, right?
Whether
like,
it's
just like so silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was basically like the extent of, conversations that we had. Now I think the consciousness is shifting more around, I think even I'll speak on my own personal experience and people that I've known that in our generation, we started to have more time to think about things and process our feelings and emotions. And I think I wouldn't even know what generation it was. It was like, you always go back to, when was the first time that you felt that inadequacy, that trauma, that wound? It's always going to go back to childhood. And there was this backlash around like, I hate my parents, they ruined my life, like, and not even in a teenager sense, but as an adult of like, oh, I had all of these traumatic experiences in my life, and fuck my parents, they fucked me up. Thank God that phase is over. It needs to be over, because at some point in your adultness or your adulthood, you have to take responsibility for your own life and how you're going to cope with whatever it is that happened. Something we're hearing a lot right now is around generational trauma and healing generational trauma. Like, it's interesting, right? Because it's almost, the narrative was like, oh, we're not in a place where we have to survive. Now we're starting to thrive. And so we have the time, we have the resources to like really kind of dig deep. So much around decolonization, all of this oppression, so many things that have happened, right, are like starting to come up. And then interestingly now, like, everything is fucking collapsing, right? Capitalism is like collapsing, and it's like, are we going back to just fucking surviving? Because it's kind of feeling like this. I digress. I don't know, that just came up because it's facts, right now. But I think that it's okay to have time to focus, to heal through that, right? Like, heal our generational trauma, but not hold on to it, because it's like everybody before you was doing the best that they could. They didn't have tools that we have now, where it's like, oh, go to the library and find out what your fucking love languages are. If I told my dad that, even to this day, he would be like, get the fuck out of here with this. Like, what do you mean I don't love you? Like, I fucking worked my ass off my whole life to give you a place to live and eat and blah, 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 and whatever. So just very different mindsets. I also posted on my story, I don't know if you guys saw it, where it was like it's like immigrant parents, like, I don't remember that trauma that you're talking about. And then the adult is like, that's because for you it was just a fucking Wednesday, but for me, like, you fucked me up. And I struggled through that because I went through a lot of like emotional and physical and verbal abuse. But I never stopped believing that the mom that I had was the mom that I picked and the mom that I wanted to have in this incarnation. So that's my personal belief that, like, I know Tony, sorry, like this bitch, but I really do believe that, like, we pick our parents before we incarnate, and they teach us so many lessons. I know Tony, Mr. Moreanal, doesn't agree, and that's okay. You know, we don't have to agree.
No, it's not that I don't agree. I mean, I don't think that's anything to agree with or not. That's just what you believe.
Exactly.
It's not necessarily what I believe.
It's my belief, yeah. And but that never took anything away from the relationship now in hindsight, looking back, right? Obviously in the moment, yes, it was trauma and I had some shit that I was like, oh my God, my mom's a whatever. I'm like looking to see if she's clicking the lights in the studio because she did that like 2 episodes ago. I was like, uh-oh, my mom's here. She definitely was. I kind of lost the train of where I was going, but go ahead.
I think with that, in terms of what you get from your parents or grandparents or caretakers, aunts, uncles, it definitely influences who we are. Obviously, that's just what's going to happen. Everybody we come across influences who we are. The difference now for us is that we have more resources, more understanding of a better understanding of the world and what happens in terms of our bodies.
In our brain,
in our brain, exactly, and our development as we grow up. So our parents, based on their upbringing and based on their parents' upbringing, didn't really have the science that we have now.
Right.
They had myths. They had just old wives' tales that if you do this, this is gonna happen. Yeah. And so now we can take some of those and be like, yeah, some of those are definitely rooted in reality, things that happen. Other things, like, no, that's not going to happen. You know, whether it's around masturbation or promiscuity.
Yeah, fear. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's not what's going to happen. So we do carry that with us, but we become better people for the next generation if we're lucky. Because there's some people that just stay messed up. They stay jacked up. They take their parents' baggage, and they put it on the next generation.
Right.
And so we have to be aware of what we bring along with us and say, hey, this isn't going to work. It didn't work for me. It's not going to work for this next generation.
Right.
And that includes all the kids in our lives. It's not just the ones that are born from our loins.
Yeah. Everybody. Exactly. Yeah. Because Tony has actually helped raise nephews, neighborhood kids, neighborhood hood rats, my kids, our kids that, you know, in our family group. So he is speaking from experience. I wanted to just put that out there. There's one specific quote by Khalil Gibran. Do you guys know Khalil Gibran? Yes. Oh God, I love that I want to share. It's something that I really firmly believe in. It's on children. And I think that this can help with the parenting paradigm kind of shift, you know, for us that are having a hard time. And he writes, your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. This has helped me so much in the way that I parent my children. And I still say my children because, yeah, they came from me. They come just perfect. They have they are their own souls wanting to express just as much as we do, right? Like whatever joys in life, they're not here for me to project my story and my desires of what I want for them to be that. A lot of what's happening right now is there's a lot of anxiety with kids because there is this like expectation to perform, like from parents, right? Like you have to be high achieving. It's not enough that you know, that you play the piano. You have to be able to play the fucking concerto number 9 or whatever, right? Like it has to be, you have to be the best. And I think this is coming from another shift that we had, because, you know, we did go through that phase of like, give everybody a trophy. Where it's like, I feel like we've gone away from that, thank God, because I feel like that wasn't, you know, that wasn't the way to go either. But allowing kids to really guide their life in the way of like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm interested in, and not just be hyper focused on what we as adults think they're going to need like in the future, right? And I think that that comes from raising our kids with love instead of fear. You know, like we're so fearful. We always want to protect our kids. Like, well, they need to go to college because how are they going to get a job? Or if they don't know a skill, how are they going to survive? Or what are they going to do? And yeah, in a capitalistic fucking society that we live in, those are real things that we need to think about. But on the same flip side, like it's that saying, right? Like if you work doing something that you love, you don't work at all, right? Because it's like it's your desire, it's your calling, it's your dharma, I think, is what they call it. Do you guys have any thoughts on that kind of paradigm shift of fear versus love?
Yes, I was going to add that we do listen more. I think, as you said, you kind of give them that space to be who they are, to tell you this is what I'm feeling. Whereas I don't know if we got that opportunity. As you said earlier, kids are to be seen and not heard, or whatever it was. We didn't get that opportunity to say, this is how I feel. But we're also asking them, how do you feel?
Yes.
Our parents, I mean, they didn't ask us how we felt getting hit with the belt. Nope. I mean, they didn't. It's like, no. Oh, why did you do this? It didn't matter. You were still going to suffer the consequences of your actions. Whereas now the way we look at it is like, okay, well, let's talk about this. Yes, there are going to still be consequences, but let's try to understand this so that when we move forward, we're not falling into these same patterns, into the same little pitfalls of behavior that isn't helpful or constructive. And so we take the time to listen to them and talk to them. And people have been doing this for a long time. This isn't anything new. It's just that for a lot of communities, they don't have those tools to do that. And it is important to try to understand your kids, because the way I see it with children, it's to make a better world, a better society. It's not for me. It's not because I want to say, oh, look at what my kids or my wards or whoever, what I've shown them, or how great they are. Yes, that should just come naturally. It's to say, this is how great they are and how great they're making the world around them.
Yes.
And when we look at it from that perspective, how are we making them better to make a better world, instead of how are we making ourselves feel better about it? Yeah. You know, I remember before we got into being foster parents, I had told a friend who's a rather cynical friend, and they didn't accuse me of wanting an accessory because they had known just my involvement in my nephew's lives. But they said a lot of gay men think it's on vogue to have a baby on their hip. I said, well, that's not where the space we're coming from.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not an accessory. I wouldn't believe that at all. I mean, yes, there's some people that are like, oh, how cute. You get to dress them up. You get to do this. You get to do that. It's like, no, that's just window dressing. We're making sure that we're getting kids who are in a vulnerable place and having them come out better. And that's the whole point of this. It should be the whole point. If you have kids, if you bear them or not, you shouldn't think, oh, what are they going to do for me? It's like, well, how are they going to be better for the world?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because that was my next point, you know, because society and school and, you know, all of these systems like to say, you know, hey, you need to toughen up because in the real world, like, people are assholes and you need to survive. And to me, it's like that mentality is so wrong. It's like, no, we need to equip children so they could build a world that's not as fucked up as we have it right
Mhm.
now. You know, we need to give them the tools so that they can say, hey, you know what, this shit is like not cool, what's going on. What are the steps we're going to take to change that? Not raise people to be assholes and to continue and perpetuate like the bullshit that we're living in now, right? But exactly what you said, to leave the world better than it was when you got here.
Mhm.
You know, and you don't have to be this, like, you don't have to be, I was gonna say Elon Musk, but he's on my damn fucking nerves. But you know, you don't have to be anybody who, like, you know, invents a breakthrough and like cure
Right.
cancer. And it's like, no, your job, whatever it is, even somebody who, you know, does something that we think is like a minute or insignificant thing, if you're out there washing cars, you are important. Your job is important. What you're doing is important, you know, regardless of, you know, again, you're curing cancer or you're washing cars. It's like, oh, I'm only going to be proud of whatever. My mom wanted me to be a lawyer. But she said that because I used to talk back to her a lot and like make good points. She was like, cabrona, like you should be, debes de ser abogada. They still didn't let me do what I wanted, but still, at least she gave me little props like that.
But yeah, no, I agree because it could also seem like a lot of pressure to put on a kid to be like, hey, you're
Yeah.
gonna make the world a better place. Well, no, it comes in those small acts of instilling in children. Well, be kind.
Yes.
Something as simple as that. Be open, be understanding, be free to express yourself, be
Mhm.
expressive, dance,
Yes.
do whatever makes you feel good and you're not hurting somebody
Good
else.
and safe and respectful. And we talk about this so much on the show. Like, this show is about finding the pleasure in your life, and not just with sex or with intimacy and anything, finding joy. And that's one thing about kids. I wanted to touch on that too. Like, it's reciprocal learning now, right? Feeling like, man, I feel like my boys have taught me so much, and they continue to teach me so much. And so it's not this like hierarchy anymore. Like, right, we're here to make sure that they are safe
Mhm.
and they have everything that they need, like to live, to survive, all of those things. But man, if you open yourself up to really listening to your kids, and it's like, damn, how did you come up with that insight? Literally, like a couple
I mean,
weekends
they are
ago.
kind of dumb sometimes, but
Yeah, of course. But when you bring it down to it's like the base, it's like, damn, like that was pretty good. So I told my boys, like, okay, we're gonna do like what did I call it, like life skill Sundays. So like every Sunday that you're with me, we're gonna learn like a different life skill, right? So I was like, what do you guys want to learn? I'm thinking like, you know, scrub the toilet, sweep, you know, fucking clean my
Direct
room,
chores,
right? Yeah,
It's a
but
sneaky way of getting
chores,
into the
but it's
chores.
things that you need to survive. And you know, because
I
we
agree.
grew up as five women, it was always like you had to learn to do these chores, because how was anyone going to want to marry you if you didn't know how to keep house? You know, and I was like, fuck, I found someone to marry me, but I didn't know how to fucking do a hymn to save my fucking life. But still, like, so I'm like, okay, life skills. So I'm like, what do you guys want to learn? And my oldest, who's 13, says, how do we find happiness when global warming is going to end the world? You know, and he's being sarcastic, but I'm like, this little punk just got out of scrubbing the fucking bathroom because he wants to talk about global warming. You know, but even those like small things in those conversations, and like just when you learn the little nuances of like their feelings and their emotions. The other day, my youngest son was kind of feeling down. Him and they were playing, and you know, there's like a 6-year difference between them. So the little one was just like crying, and I can't score. And so I made him his favorite breakfast, and he was still sad as he was eating it. And I was like, Papa, how do you like your gorditas? And he's all, it hits different when you're happy.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, oh, my baby, you know. But just those little moments of like, man, you know what? I see my son, he's having a hard time. I'm like, let me make him feel good. I'm gonna make his, you know, favorite breakfast. And like, he was so happy, you know, just that I took like that time, you know, to like make him feel a little bit special. I know this is a really lofty topic for like 1 hour, so I'm gonna try to get through a couple of more things. Dr. Shefali Sabari, she talks a lot about conscious parenting, and I'm just going to share one of her quotes from her TED Talk where she says, "The extent to which we as parents know ourselves is the extent to which our child can love deeply, laugh loudly, risk bravely, and lose freely. That's the extent to which our children will know joy and freedom." So I know y'all probably hate when I say this, but it's like, just like anything else, it comes back to the self. It comes back to the relationship that you have with you, because our kids are going to reflect our biggest insecurities. They're going to be the ones that are going to be like, "Oh, like you told me that so and so wasn't home, but da da da, like they're here," or whatever. Like, they speak truth without caring, without impunity, because to them it's just like it's the truth. And if we're not okay, we're gonna have a rough time. You cannot take things personally. You just can't, because they're gonna show you those places that you have work to do. So, like, for example, I want to talk about, like, how do we talk about our kids, for to help them have positive, like, sexual identities from when they're young. How do we create, like, a home that is, what's the word that I use, not pro sex, but like, sex positive. How do you create a sex positive home, from when you're really young? And if you have issues with, like, even the thought of your child masturbating, or you having to have a talk with them and it repulses you, that's the work that you need to do. Like, why is that repulsive to you? And same with kids, right? Kids always get repulsed when it's like, "Oh, my parents having sex, like, sick." That's more understandable on, like, a mental level of, like, where they're at. But if you're having a hard time, what is that about? That's like exploration for you, because you're putting that on to your child, right? That masturbation is not something that you should do, that it's dirty, that whatnot. So I want to ask you guys, you, Ricky, being raised with 4 other boys, you being raised with some boys but also raising boys, like, what was the masturbation conversations that helped you, whether it was with adults or with brothers, peers?
So before we get into that, is there any activity?
Well, yeah, High Priestess was saying 555 angel numbers, and then she was saying we have our own baggage, and then she says, "Me when I was a kid, Antwan raising me," and then and then she references emotional damage.
Yeah, definitely emotional damage.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
being younger, you don't always think of the consequences of your actions. You think you know how to do things, but then as you get along the process, you figure out how to do it. And I think, to your question about even something as common as self pleasure or masturbation, I think the problem with that is that a lot of people do it. They just don't talk about it. And when they do,
Yes.
it's a joke. And even I've joked about it, because once the boys get to those teenage years, like, they spend a lot of time in the restroom.
Yeah.
They spend, they're just going to do that. And boys, I have more experience than boys. I have limited experience with girls, raising or otherwise. And boys, we always have our hands in our pants, and it's not a sexual thing.
Right.
Sometimes we're just holding ourselves. I don't know if that's something that's innate from gestation, or just from being babies, or
protection,
security. But we always have our hands down there.
That's kind of beautiful, actually, when you think about it that way.
And what people also don't realize is that boys, you get erections from a very young age. I'm talking like 2, 3, probably since birth, actually, now that I think about it. And it's not always sexual.
Right.
It's just what your body
excitement
does.
It's blood flow.
Yeah. But we've made it into something like, oh no, you can't have your hand down there, or you can't do this, you can't do that. And so shifting that to say, okay, well, understanding why that is. Is it a security that you have your hands there? Is it pleasure? And then when it gets to the point of pleasuring yourself, well, do you understand why that is, or what that is for? but also not shaming them, because there could be a lot of, oh yeah, he just spends a lot of time in the restroom. He's in there, he's taking a long shower. And those
Right.
kind of jokes, I think they're counterproductive to having a healthy understanding of masturbation, which kids should have. And
agree.
I've used that as a tool to be like, hey, you can take care of yourself. Because a lot of times when I was feeling the urge to be like, let me hit the streets, let me go meet somebody, well, maybe I should try pleasing myself first and see how I feel after that. And so that could serve as a deterrent for situations that might not be the most healthy.
Right.
And so it's just like, take care of yourself. You know how to take care of yourself the best. Do it.
Absolutely.
And so those conversations obviously don't start till around the teenage years. Sometimes they start younger because there's an age difference between boys. And if you have one that's, say, 13 or 14 and one that's 8
Right.
and 7, like the younger one doesn't necessarily know what the older one knows, what the older one is hearing from classmates.
That part.
And so all of a sudden you have to explain it to them. I have another funny story, but it's too long.
We can talk about that in Pillow Talk after the show.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, you're forced to have these conversations, but you should have them. A lot of people don't want to have them. They're just not equipped. Our parents, they would have never talked to us about masturbation.
Right.
As teenagers or as kids.
Yeah.
And maybe not even as adults. Your mom, she did on your wedding day.
A couple weeks before I got married,
Right,
she did.
exactly.
Yeah.
But most people, they don't do that. And so we again have to shift to say, this is your body. You should know your body. You should be okay with your body. This is what your body's going to do.
Yeah.
And yes, you're going to hear a lot of stuff and a lot of the giggles and just crazy things.
Mom, I don't want to talk about this with you.
Right.
I get that with my older son. Yeah.
So with, I always tell the story of the oldest boy. He didn't come to, well, I had all those conversations with him. But when he actually started having sex, he went to my partner.
Yeah.
And for a second, I felt like, oh, why didn't you come to me? I was there at all these pivotal points. We had these conversations.
Right.
I work at a sexual health clinic. I'm the person to talk to. But then I stepped back and said, well, he's talking to somebody. So it's okay if they say, I don't want to talk to you. They're talking to somebody. And that's the most important thing.
I agree. Yeah. Rick, anything to add to this masturbation conversation?
Well, communication. I mean, growing up, I didn't, the funny thing was, when you say like your boy won't talk to you because, your mom, right? Well, we didn't have dad there. So we had no choice but to talk to mom. But it worked out because mom was the type that was like, wanting to communicate and make sure that most of it really was just to not get anyone pregnant. You know what I mean? Because it would have been, if we're surviving, and as it was, we were 5 boys and all going to Catholic school, money's tight. And then, you get someone pregnant. It's like, and those days you just thought, all right, they're moving in and, with you. Yeah. Right. But so it was more of the communication to just make sure that,
you're playing safe.
You're playing it safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even though, it was embarrassing to kind of like bring it up to her, at the end of the day, it was just like, well, shoot, I need to tell somebody. I want to talk about it, or you know what I mean. And then referencing, with like our the younger ones, like nephews and nieces. Like for me, well, even before that, with my brothers, I'm a 5-year gap between my younger brothers, so it's that age gap. So what I was doing, no one had any clue what was going on. I was in the restroom, forever. Who cares? Nobody was around to tell me anything.
Right.
But then as I got older and my younger brothers got older, and then, that was always the jokes, like, oh, what are you doing in there? Why are you taking so long? Be considerate, there's only one restroom.
Right.
But that was kind of like a way to get to get them to open up. And get them to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Break the ice.
Break that ice, yeah. And then just kind of see where they're at, what they feel. Because a lot of times too, you're at those ages, you're depending on your peers. And some of them don't know what they're doing, or they're giving you bad advice.
Most of them don't. Them, yeah.
Or you're copying, or you're seeing what they've done, or you're hearing stories and you think like, oh, okay, yeah, it's
or nowadays porn is so accessible,
but it's different. It was different then. And then it's funny because now that we're older, or as we got older, as I got older, and then seeing like my nephews and nieces and going to school, I always felt like their generation, like the sex talk is like comes really quick. Like it was just for us, it was, we didn't talk about it. It was kind of like you waited till you got like your teenage years. But I feel like they're more sexually not. Well, I don't know. Hopefully, they're not sexually active, but they're aware. Yeah, that's the word
for sure.
And so I think it's important to keep those communication lines open to be, hey, yeah, what are you thinking? What's going on? Or just to be safe, to always be safe.
Continual conversations. Yeah. It's not like a single time that you're going to talk to your kids. We're definitely out of time. I do want to just touch on, your kids are not your life.
About masturbation. What did Mother Teresa say about masturbation?
Like your kids are not your life, and that's why I love the Khalil Gibran quote so much, because a lot of people make their life about their kids. What do my kids want? Let me please my kids. I want to do the best for them. And they forget about themselves. Don't forget about yourself. Stay tuned in with us, because we are going to have Pillow Talk right after this, exclusively on YouTube. And we're going to end the show officially the way we ended every time, baby. Happy birthday to us. 1 year.
Happy birthday.
And the wise words of our ancestors, my mother, who said, play with yourself every night so that you know your body and you know what you like. This is Goddess Lore.
Rick Rocks.
Antwan Moreanal.
And we will see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m., baby.
Yay.
Ricky's like, no. Oh, thank you for joining us. This is Pillow Talk live right after our episode that we just concluded. I jumped the gun a little bit. Ricky's like, no, we're not live yet. Hold on. If you guys have any questions in the chat, if you're still joining us, please let us know. We were talking all about parenting. There was so much that I wanted to get to, and there just never seems to be enough time. So we have a good 15 minutes right now to just talk about the things we really needed to say or wanted to say. And Pillow Talk is brought to you by none other than Infinity Studios. If you are a content creator and are looking for a place to call your home, this is definitely a hub for creators. You can podcast. You can record for TV. There's a green screen. They have all kinds of awesome, amazing equipment. Antwan Moreanal was commenting about what a great studio space it was, how spacious it is. Like, there's so many cool like sports things, and there's people here who know what's up. It's located in Monterey Park, just 20 minutes from downtown LA. So you can find them on all platforms as Infinity Studios, and let them know that Goddess and Rick sent you. Hey. Okay. Do we still have people in the chat? Is Priestess and Jerry in the chat? Because she actually had a question that came in really late. I had posted on Instagram, and she had asked, and something we didn't even get to fucking dip into. I think we talked about it a little bit, but like, how do we raise our kids in a non-heteronormative perspective or fucking way of living, because I'm over it. I love that there's this movie coming out, and it's like about these two men who fall in love, I think, and they're friends, and then one of them says like, we finally did it, there's no more straight people. I love it. I'm gonna watch it. I think it's Billy Eichner is in it, but I think that's such an important point, to not raise our children in this heteronormative idea, because we're now at a place where trust that we have a long ways to go, but where people are being able to live their life more authentically. And this idea of a nuclear family, the way the Bible explains it, that does not exist. And in reality, when really has it existed? You know, there has always been what we call unconventional families that now should just be called families. It's not about convention or unconvention. It's about living your life most authentically. I can say what I do with my kids is like, when I talk to them about the future or partners or whatnot, I always leave it very wide open, right? Of like, if you ever wanted to get married, whoever you wanted to marry. It's not like, I really try to make an effort to not say your wife. Like when you meet your wife, when you meet your girlfriend, it's like, no, I try to make it like, hey, is your girlfriend or your boyfriend? Like Tom, my youngest, he's very like patriarchy kind of like focus. Like there was gonna be a school dance for my older son, and he's like, "You need a date. Who are you gonna ask? You can't show up without a date. You need to take a girl." And I'm like, excuse me, hold up, patriarchy. Like, slow your roll, homie. First of all, he doesn't need a date. Second of all, it doesn't have to be a girl. He can take a boy if he wants, and let him live his life, nosy. Like, back up. That's one of the things that I do. Do you guys have any tips?
So I actively work against that, and I have been for years.
Mhm.
And it's always under the risk of sexualizing children, which they're already sexualized by society. That's just
Yes.
a known fact. Kids are sexualized
And
by the clothes that they wear. They give a baby a little onesie that says
chick
ladies man or
magnet.
chick
Ugh,
magnet
Yeah.
and
I
stuff
fucking
like
hate
that.
that shit.
Right. So it starts by getting rid of that stuff.
Yes.
And so what a lot of people do is they say, "Oh yeah, look at them. They're on their first date when it's a boy or a girl. They have a crush."
Yes.
And so whenever anybody says that, like, "Oh look, that's his girlfriend," I'll say, or his husband, his little husband. But
Right.
again, it's running the risk of like, "Oh, you're grooming them.
Right.
You're making them gay or whatever." It's like, no, actually, we're just giving them the option to say, "Hey, this is a possibility,"
Who
because
do you love?
it
Like who
was a
you like? Yeah.
possibility for me, and nobody ever said it. It was quite the opposite. It was
Mhm.
to not be that way. And at the end of the day, you can't make somebody something.
Right.
I mean, if that were the case, there would be no gay people because we were all raised by straight people.
Right.
We were all raised in a straight world to
Well,
be
or
straight.
closeted people.
Or
It's
right,
like that.
exactly.
It's like
Yeah.
that part too.
So definitely, whenever people make those comments, immediately, and I have no problem, whoever it is,
Mhm.
stranger, intimate family member, whoever it is, to say that, or boyfriend.
Right.
And
Yeah, you have to interrupt that, because then you're basically teaching kids that there's only one way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There's the right way, and then there's the other ways. And it's like, there's also kids now who are really expressing like, hey, you know what, like I feel like I'm a non-sexual person.
right,
I was watching
Yeah,
this
let them do
show
that.
called oh my gosh, Jerry turned me onto it. Generation, I think it's called, on HBO. And so there's this character on the show who is like, hey, I like you, I love you, but I'm not into doing sexual things. Like,
Their
even
ace, their
kissing,
arrow.
yeah, even kissing makes me uncomfortable. And so now there's so many I hate using the word labels, but we have talked about
Different
this
understandings of
we've talked about this like really often
emotional
around like
attachment.
understanding that, or hoping that there's a place that we come to in the future where that's not needed, where we just get to be authentic and live, but knowing that we're still living in a time and space where those things are very much needed to help people understand different philosophies or ideas that are different from their own.
I think that'll also make, again, in my quest to make better people for this world, that makes better friends when you don't put this pressure on kids to say, "Oh, you have to have your relation to the opposite sex always has to be romantic." Excuse me. It's like,
Yes.
no, you can be friends. And so you instill in them this idea that your attachment to people doesn't have to be sexual. It could be completely platonic.
Yes.
Obviously, crushes happen. That's okay. You
Mhm.
address that when it does, but you start with this base that you're friends. None of this, "Oh, he's got a little crush on you, or he's hitting you because he wants your attention."
He just wants to fuck. And I'm glad that you said that, because that kills also these other things, right? Of like us now as adults, like this concept that it's like, oh, women can't have men friends
Mhm.
because all the men want to do is just like get in their pants and like fuck them at some point. They're waiting for the moment of weakness, to get you to do whatever it is. And it's like, I love that you said that, because we have to get to a point of just like stopping that nonsense of like the
Mhm.
sexes versus each other. Like, that shit is a construct. It is a made up thing. Stop it.
Right. So take it away, and
Yeah.
even allow people to be, again, asexual. That's when I
Mm-hmm.
said ace earlier. That's what ace is, asexual, or arrow, which is aromantic. There's people
Mm-hmm.
who want partnership, but it doesn't have to happen that way. And so again, we take it to that base level. This is how you meet people and
Mm-hmm.
you become friends, and it's okay if you stay friends.
Right.
And just
Mhm.
because you're going to the movies with a boy or with a girl doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that it's going to lead to something else. And so
Yeah.
again, that'll make better people because they're treating people as equals, treating them with respect, treating them with dignity, and not having that expectation. That's really hard to
Yeah.
achieve with teenagers, though. So I mean, this
It
is
is.
all like
It is, but
ideas.
it starts from, being really young and interrupting those,
Yes.
patterns.
Hmm.
Like you said, the shirts. Like the worst one for me was Heartbreaker.
Oh yes.
I fucking hate that shit. I'm like, fucking burn that. Who gave you this? We're not wearing
Should
this.
we
No.
make some that say like alcoholic or puta or
Cochinex.
Cochinex.
But going back, because Priestess question was, with there being so much knowledge out there, so many identifiers, so many kids now being able to say at such a young age of like, hey, you know what, I feel like maybe I'm non-binary, or I feel like I was born into this female body, but I don't feel like a female, I feel like a male. Like, how is, like, if you have any tips on how to navigate that. um that was one that I feel like I don't feel really like equipped to give that
Hmm.
information, except like go out there and talk to people who have experienced it. And I don't know, hey, Dwayne Wade's out there, right? Is it Dwayne Wade?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
His
like,
side. Yeah.
but if you guys had any, any pointers or.
So, in terms of gender identity, that's always a tough topic to address, especially when that's not our lived experience.
Mhm.
However, I do feel that I have experience from the people that I've kind of grown up with
Mhm.
and the education that I've received through books as well as them,
Mhm.
and just what I've sought out for myself. Um, but we don't always get it right. So ultimately, it's kind of doing the work and asking people, but at the same time, I don't want to put that pressure on somebody who's you say, oh, that's my trans friend. I'm gonna go ask them. Like saying, no, that's my black
Right,
friend. I'm gonna go
right.
ask them.
You
Like,
can't expect that everyone who identifies a certain way is a representative one, or that
or
they're
that
going to
they're
want to
want to,
explain
or
it
that
to
they're
you.
ready to do that because
Yes.
they're on their own path. They're on their own
Mhm.
journey. So again, it's like you gotta figure that out for yourself. But when it comes to kids and those questions, we have to prepare ourselves, and that goes to finding websites that support them,
Yes.
finding articles,
Mhm.
journals, medical journals, a lot of the heavier reading that gives us the tools and the knowledge, the psychology, the just to be able to put them on the path towards understanding themselves. And it's not a
Yeah.
right or a wrong path. It's just one that helps and helps them understand themselves. And so again, it's looking up websites, and
Mhm.
hopefully you don't get dragged into some porn
Black
site,
holes.
right?
Some black holes out there.
Blackhole.com.
Yeah.
um, but so I had a friend of ours who's a teacher ask me the same question.
Mhm.
I have a student and they're dealing with problems with their mom. So I talked to some of my colleagues at work and I said, hey, this is the situation. I have vast knowledge, but it's not the experience.
Right.
They connected me with the resources to connect them. And
Mm.
so that's really what it is. It's like you find where those gaps are and you fill them in.
I love that.
And that's the best we
And
could do.
and it really goes back to, again, like, how comfortable you are in your own body, in your own experience. Because if there's ambiguity for you, as far as like, are you living your authentic life, you're going to be triggered by this beautiful little soul who's saying, hey, you know what, I'm not this. Like, don't make me this. I don't want to live like this anymore. So it's going to bring up a lot inside of you. So again, just always like you first. Like my friend Divine's, I think it was her grandma, her tia, who used to say, primero yo, segundo yo, y tercero yo. You need to get yourself all the way right, because if you're living your authentic truth and you're comfortable, confident in yourself, guess what? That's the work that you have to do, because then everything else is going to be so much easier, because you don't have any doubts of who it is that you are, and you're able to receive more authentically somebody else's experience without trying to make it right or wrong or fit into a specific box. Pillow talk is over, y'all. Jesus, this we have to do another episode, because again, so much we wanted to touch on, like how about you just love your kids,
Right.
Unconditional love.
Support them.
Funny stories.
You know, have their backs.
So many funny stories. I would love to have you back, Antwan Moreanal, to continue this conversation. You're always such a great resource and tool, and you have so many stories and life experiences to share. You're always great to have on the phone. I mean, on the show, on the phone. Bitch ain't even drinking, but cheers to another great episode and to our birthday. We hope to catch you again next week, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Se portan bien y si no me invitan. Thank you for joining us in the chat, Priestess and Gerard.
And Jerry. And that's it. Sexy.
Love y'all. Adios.
Bye, guys. Have a good one. See you next week.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I forgot the.